going around this morning and topping off some fondant. I just decided to run in and get the camera. I'm on the last colony here, and it's actually the Pagmr Wood Hive upgrade kit. This is how much of the fondant they've eaten to this point. You can see there's still a little bit left in here. I went to remove it, and the lady started to come up through, so I was going to put a bigger one in there just because we've got some rain coming. But I think what I'll do is I've got this one here, which is from last year, and it's still really pliable. All I did was close it back up and stick it in the freezer, and it seems to have kept quite well. So what I'm going to do is just lay it right here and kind of double up on what they've got there for reserves. We've got about 3 or 4 days of rain coming, courtesy of the California rains, and I just want to be prepared. So they're looking good. One of my nukes over in the nuke yard, I added the fondant to this morning, and well, I went to add the fondant to it, and they did not make it. So I've lost one so far. Let's see what's in this one. Here's the girls. I really should get something on there. Piece of foam or something. Let me see what I can find. Okay, so here's what I've done. I've taken a piece of the 1-inch foam insulation and I've cut it to fit down even with this lip, which will sit on top of the hive. Now let's look at the cluster here real quick since I've taken the lid off. You can see they're doing extremely well in this 7-framer. I think what I might do is double up on their, well, they've got quite a bit left yet. I'll just check them again in a week. You see, with this 7-framer, they didn't really do much with 1, 2, 3 frames. So they're pretty much living off of 3 to 4 frames. Got a nice cluster there though, don't we? Okay, let's give them their lid back. Okay, now we'll fasten it back up. And call it done. Pretty cool. See them doing so good. So I wanted to give you an update on the book. A lot of people have been asking, how's that beekeeping book coming along? Well, let me tell you, the book is coming along fantastically. I'm just starting to get some of the very beginning chapters back from the editor, and it's pretty neat to see it starting to come together. So if you're one of the people that has followed the progress of the book or signed up to follow the progress of the book, you should be getting an update here in the near future. The holidays kind of slowed things down a little bit, but now we're starting to get back on track, and I look for things to be coming together here real soon. But I wanted to thank you for asking and having interest in my very first book. I'm excited for it to come out and for everybody to get a chance to read it, and I want to get some feedback from y'all. So thanks for asking and staying in the loop with the book. Now, if you have not signed up to stay in the loop of the book, but you would like to, I'll leave a link down in the video description. You can go over there, enter your email, answer a couple beekeeping related questions, and then you can hit submit, and then when updates become available, you will be notified. So thanks for inquiring on the book and having that interest. Much, much appreciated. Okay, so I'm going to make this pretty brief because this is still kind of new to me and I don't want to give any wrong information. But I did want to go ahead and start sharing some information on 3D printing. So what you're looking at here is the Ender 3 that I got for Christmas. just recently. And I have made a few changes to it since it came, and I'm going to go over those today and kind of give you a brief introduction as to 3D printing. So to get started, on the right hand side is my power switch. I'll go ahead and turn it on, and you'll notice a light has now kicked on. The light is one of the extra features that I have just added. One of the other features that I have just added is the glass bed from Creality, and we'll go over that here briefly. I want to give you a quick rundown though on the printer itself. So here we have the control module. This controls everything that the printer does. Has many different settings in it that you can change, but I don't suggest you just go in there and start changing stuff unless you know what you're doing. It also has here on the front a micro USB hookup and a place where you can attach to your computer. Now this little card reader here came with my micro SD card, a 32 gig SD card, and it has some samples on it that you could print out. And that was the very first thing that I opted to try and print, was one of the samples when I got this set up. And the very first thing I printed was this Lucky Cat. I wasn't really sure what it was, but I showed it to my sister and she went kind of crazy over it. So Lucky Cat, she called it. Never heard of it, but that's what it is. And this is what you can, one of the things that you can do with a 3D printer is print little, I guess, toys or Lucky Cats. The next thing I printed, and this was just because I needed it, and I printed a couple of these, is a simple pitcher holder. And it's pretty durable too, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's got a lot of strength to it. When you look here at my printer, you're gonna notice a lot of red on my printer. Those are all things that I have added. Up here, there's some grooves that are in your printer. Right here's one of them that I haven't filled in yet. And those are called V-slots. And what you can do is you can go on Thingiverse and find the pieces that you need, and you can print them out, and you can snap them in there to fill in the grooves, which is handy down here because little pieces of filament fall in the groove. And with those plastic pieces snapped in there, it's now smooth and I can just sweep off any excess pieces of filament. But the rest of it's just kind of spruce it up and maybe make it your own. You could print them your own color. I chose red because, well, I thought the red looked pretty good. I need to print one more piece, as you can see here. So that's what I've done. I've also printed this fan cover, which you see here, and that keeps filament from falling off of the bed and down into the fan, which is something I read that does happen. So I went ahead and printed that. I printed the V-slot covers, and I also printed me a print supervisor. Notice Bender here from Futurama. Yes, he is my print supervisor. The plan is to print Fry and put him here on the print head. So he will be hot glued down or something to that effect to keep him stable, and he'll be facing Bender. That is the plan. But I got a few things to do before I get to that point. You see, Fry, each piece of him is an individual print. That way you can print it in the color that it should be, and then you put it all together and you've got a colored version of Fry. So that's a little bit more detailed of a print. Bender here, he is all gray, as you can see, and I took some white paint and painted his teeth and his eyes. So that's why Bender has a little color to him. So now let's get into the printer a little bit. Right here is what you call the print bed. And this area is very critical because it's reliable for a lot of the build on your 3D print. Now, what we've got here is we've got these clips. I think they call them alligator clips or something to that effect. You take those off. And your bed top is removable. And this is one of the pieces I just recently upgraded to it, and it's a piece of glass, and you can see it's pretty thick. Now, the advantage to the glass over what my printer came with, which I'm not really sure what it's called. It's flexible, it's kind of plastic. If you know what this is called, please let me know, because I would love to know so I don't ever buy it, because I don't really care for it. The problem is with these beds is getting them perfectly level. And when I say level, I don't mean with the floor, with the house, with your table. I mean level with your print arm, or this axis here. So it takes a little bit of getting used to and adjusting, and you do that with a piece of paper and these wheels which adjust. There's 4 knobs, there's one in each corner, and you can raise and lower your bed to get it to the appropriate print height. And there's some websites you can go to research how to do that. The problem I was having with this bed is it didn't seem like this was very flat, even when I had this down on it. And I did some reading, and a lot of people were complaining and said that the first thing they did was switch to the glass bed, and which has made a huge difference for me, but I am getting some patterns left in my print bed. And I did a little bit of research on how to get those patterns to come off. Some people were saying rubbing alcohol. I tried that, didn't work. Nail polish remover was one thing that was suggested. That actually kind of smeared the black area on the glass. So I didn't do a very big spot of that, and I knew that wasn't the right answer. Some other people have told me Dawn dish soap and a small fine brush, and that's what I tried today. And you can see there is still some print reflections or indentions. Well, I can't really film, I don't want to call them indentions, but patterns left on the glass. I've done some research, and some people have told me that, you know, theirs is the same way, it's not affecting the print, so they haven't worried about it. But I don't know that it's right. I suspect that once I get a little bit more experience under my belt, I'll probably be changing to another piece of glass. And you could also flip it over and put the smooth side up. But I think what this texture side does is it allows air to get underneath the print, and when the print cools down, it makes for easy removal of the print, because it can get to where it's kind of stuck to the glass. That's why you're provided with a scraper when you buy the printer. There's actually a handful of tools that you get with the printer, and I'll show you those. So that is the glass bed, and it is a little tricky, like I said, to get it level with your print head. It takes a little bit of adjusting, some time to get used to. Let me throw this glass back on here, and I'll show you the tools that came with the 3D printer. And then we'll talk a little bit about the filament, and then we'll close up with the 3D printer. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth because I don't have a whole lot of experience with this. Okay, so here's what came with the printer. Scraping tool, the micro SD card adapter. Put your micro SD card in there. And that's so you can go into your computer, do your slice work, which is what you have to do before you can put the micro SD card in here. And slicing is a program from that you use to prepare prints. You're going to get some snippers. You're going to get a little piece of guitar string, and I believe this is to clean the nozzle. I'm not real sure. You're going to get a little flathead screwdriver. You're going to get a couple little wrenches, and you're going to get a little set of Allen wrenches. Now, I took the liberty of printing this tool holder for the printer, and it holds absolutely everything I've got here, as I'm going to show you. The problem is once I printed this and then decided I wanted to add the light fixture to my printer, the light fixture took the placement of this tool holder, so I can no longer use it with the light on. So I'm going to have to come up with a different tool holder, in which now I am looking, there is actually a drawer compartment that you can print, and it will hold all of your tools. And it actually goes right here, and it gives you 2 drawers you can put all your tools in. Looks really, really handy. So that will be one of my next bigger prints. So that's how it went, and then it slid on to one of the main top beams of the printer. And it was really handy. until I realized with the light on there, I wasn't going to be able to use it. But those tools are all included when you buy the printer. So now let's talk a little bit about filaments. There's several different kinds of filaments, and my wife purchased this kit with the printer. Sunloop, I guess, yeah. And this is what's called a PLA filament. It's one of the easiest filaments to print. And to give you an idea, each of the filaments have different attributes about them. The PLA is a rather hard filament. It's not forgiving at all. If I was to take this and step on it, it may hold my weight, but then again it may break and shatter into many different pieces. Now there's some filaments out there that are like rubber or silicone. There's just so many different ones on the market. You just have to pretty much go to a website that explains them to understand the differences. I don't want to say, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and say the wrong thing. So the way this works is, for all these things that I've printed, I've been going to a site called Thingiverse and finding files that I like. And let's just take this for instance. This was a file on Thingiverse. I searched up picture hanger, and what that does is it brings you up all of your options. You go down through there and you find what you like, and then after you find the file you like, you have to download it. After downloading, you have to open that file with the Creality file slicer, and what that's going to do is it's going to make it so that your printer can read the information on how to print this. You're going to copy that to your SD card, and then you're going to bring it in here and stick it in, go down through your menu and search for the file and select print. From there, your heat bed is going to start warming up, your nozzle for your printer is going to start warming up, and then minutes later it will begin to print. Now, print times, those all vary depending on how big you want to go. I believe this took like 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, I can't remember for sure. This here I think took 45 minutes. So it is a little bit time consuming, and there is many more modifications I plan to make to my printer. Some filaments require that your printer is in an enclosure, and I'm a smoker. I live on a dirt road, so dust is a big problem, smoke is a big problem, and I don't want that to affect my printer. So I am definitely going to be searching for an enclosure for my printer. And not to mention that I do want to print some of these other filaments that are on the market, which require a more stable temperature, and that's another advantage to the enclosure. So that's my little rundown on the 3D printer. I want to do some more videos, but I want to get some more experience under my belt before I do those, because I don't want to put out any bad information. If you have any questions or comments about anything I said about my Ender 3, please feel free to ask down below. If you're interested in maybe trying a 3D printer like mine here, I'm going to take the liberty of leaving a few links in my video description. Maybe one for this printer if you don't want to put a whole lot of money into getting started, and maybe one with a little bit more of the upgrades already added to it. So that'll give you a couple different options to maybe get your feet wet and get you into the world of 3D printing. I will be sharing a lot more on the 3D printing in the near future. I want to use it to print many different items used in beekeeping and farming in general, really. I'm seeing that you can print your own electric fence insulators. I'm thinking I'd like to play around with trying to print some cattle ear tags and see how well those hold up. All kinds of different things. So I think it's going to be really interesting to follow along with the 3D printer and see what all I can use it for. Now, as for the Hive Alive Fondant, that's the best product I've used for feeding bees, for supplementing bees, period. I have not found anything better on the market than the Hive Alive Fondant patties. When bees leave their stored honey in frames to go up to get fondant, that's a pretty good indicator to me that they prefer the fondant over their honey. And I don't know why that is, but I'm seeing extremely healthy bees in the middle of winter, and it's just a pat on the back to me to say, you know, you're doing the right thing by feeding these fondant patties. The bees absolutely love them. I'm going to leave a link down below where you can get a discount, and it might help you get your foot in the door and trying out the Hive Alive Fondant patties. And then, after you give them to your bees, I'd like you to come back to this video, go down in the comments section, and tell me what you're noticing after the bees have had the fondant patty for a little while. I think you're going to be right in line with me and noticing that the bees are leaving their stored honey to go get the fondant. It's just amazing. So, anyway, folks, I'm going to sign out for the day. I hope everybody has a great week, and we're getting closer to spring. I know it doesn't feel like it right now. In my case, we're sitting at 23. The ground's frozen and we got a light dusting of snow on the ground. But it's getting closer. The daylight, we're getting daylight to almost 6 o'clock now. So we're getting there, folks. Hang in there. Bee season will be kicking off before we know it. And we won't have time to do anything. So that's how it is. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here next week. You enjoyed the video? Throw me a big thumbs up. Thanks.